take me way back. Talk that shit like say that. Tell them that I'm coming, catch them running for that payback. For that payback, coming for that payback. Taking what I wanna get. Welcome everybody to TruExact Show. I'm here with Raymond, Travis, Ellie, and our special guest today. You've seen him, you know, growing up. Some of us just rock the hoodies of the show he was on VHS. See a bunch of DVDs. The one, the only RAAB himself. How you doing, man?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on.
No, it's awesome. We really
it's our pleasure.
It. Yeah, our pleasure. It's just great when we talk to people who, like, I'd hate to use the word idolize, but we did try to mimic and reenact some of your stuff, which we'll get to later. But, like, you know, we really appreciate you coming on. But before we get into some of the stuff we want to ask, we do want to know, like, since the Viva La Bam days, the Jackass days, like, I know you started your own film company and stuff. Like, what have you been up to? I know you did a podcast for a little, but, like, just for people who haven't, you know, kept up, like, what was life like after the Viva La Bam days and stuff?
Lot of masturbation.
Gotcha. Me too.
Yeah,
I knew we had a lot in common.
No, man. Yeah, just, you know, I mean, as far as like after that stuff, you know, there was a dark period. Then there was then, you know, kind of came out of that and then got onto the other side of the camera. I mean, I don't know how heavy you want to get into. Right after, like after the fact, it was like
it's your call. It's your call, man. Whatever you feel comfortable talking about, man.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't talk about it. I didn't talk about it for a lot of years just because I was going through it. But right when the show was over, Bam and I had a falling out. I kind of went my separate ways. Didn't like the way he was acting and and the person he had become, and me myself, I wasn't really fond of who I was at the time, and I got heavy into some heavy drugs and drinking and all that kind of stuff, and just became kind of a sneaky, creepy person for a little while, and then I got to a place where I needed help, and then I got help, and I got sober and clean from drugs and alcohol, and then as a result of that, I was able to work through some of those resentments and some of those things with some of the relationships that, you know, kind of had soured as a result of the entertainment business. And, you know, and then we were able to work through that stuff and become friends again. And then I, you know, I was trying to figure out like what I was going to do, you know, because like when you're putting together your resume and your resume says he shits on things, you know, it's kind of hard to say what are my qualifications for this position. So, so I had to kind of go back to the drawing board and figure out what type of, you know, skills that I had and how I could acquire, you know, ones in order to make a living. And really it just made perfect sense to just kind of go onto the other side of the camera and start doing work like that. And originally I went started at the bottom as a production assistant. And I hate to say the bottom because really production assistant people are the glue that hold everything together. They're the ones that make it all happen. And I was able to learn that and see that and respect that position because I did it, you know, and then I moved into the camera department because, like, you know, as a production assistant, you get an opportunity to see all aspects of the set, you know. So when I was doing, I would say Jackass was the first thing that was quote unquote professional. You know, it didn't, the reason I say that is because the set didn't really run like how a normal set, like if you go on to like a show like SWAT, I worked on that show. Like that show's like a big deal, fucking huge budget. There's every position is filled according to the union and it works and flows the way it does. There's big stunts and all these kind of action scenes and stuff like that. And obviously we were called stuntmen for Jackass because we had to be, basically. They had to say, you know, these people are professionals, are doing what they're doing. But we're like, are we? I don't know. We're just throwing ourselves off of buildings and breaking bones. I don't know if this is considered professional. But then that was funny because in the beginning, we all got these shirts that said professional on it because they were like, you know, it was just ridiculous that they were calling us that. But yeah, so then I got the opportunity to go into that side of things and really learn how a set is, how it functions, you know? And so I got to see wardrobe, I got to see hair and makeup, I got to see sound, I got to see like playback and office, being an office PA. I got to like, you know, do the like sit with a coordinator and figure out what all those things are. I got to see everything really, and it you know, it just made me realize that I was super interested in the camera and how the camera worked, because I had held cameras, and I had like, you know, I did photography and stuff in high school, but then on the CKY stuff and Jackass stuff, like I hold a camera, but it's like basically the camera's just shaking because you're laughing at whatever dumb shit we're doing. And so it wasn't like I really knew how to like operate a camera. So it was just like, oh, hit the red button and then try to hold it still. And, you know, so then I really got an interest in the camera department. And I think, honestly, that was because I felt like if I understood the way the camera worked, I would be a much better director, and I would be able to like get to a place where I can make the things I want to make, and I don't have a gatekeeper telling me I can and can't make stuff. And that came as a result of after Viva La Bam. Like I said, Bam and I had a little bit of a falling out. Then all the guys asked me to come do the second Jackass, and I was sort of like, I would say, I you know, people kind of took it as like, oh, he was just, him and Bam had the falling out, so that's why he didn't do it. And the reality was that I was kind of bitter about the fact that I wasn't getting paid well for the Jackass stuff. And people think you're a rich millionaire when you're on TV, and really that's not the case. And so when you started seeing other friends of yours getting rich, you're like, dude, what the fuck? What about me? Mm-hmm. And as there became a negotiation for that second one, they were like, oh, he doesn't have to do it if he doesn't want to accept this contract. And I was like, all right, well, I'm just not going to do it then. And people thought it was more like this bitter thing. And it was like, yeah, I think we could have probably got over that. It's just, I really didn't want to, like, I felt like I had already rode that train. I fucking had a blast. I traveled the world. I did all this amazing shit. I toured with CKY. They were signed by Island Def Jam. I went all around the world with them. I did all the promotional tours with the Jackass stuff. I did the Viva La Bam thing. I did like I'm very lucky and very grateful for that trip that I got to have. And like, I mean, you know, just those years of being able to experience all that stuff. And not singular trip, but you know what I mean? Like that whole thing. And so it felt like, well, if I'm not going to get paid something that's going to change my life, then it's not worth it to break bones and do this stuff. And so I decided at that point, like, I got to have to figure out something else that's because I got to make a living and I got to figure out what I'm going to do. So that's what led to the, oh, okay, I'm going this direction. Then I tried to sell some shows. I got 2 shows in development. At that point, right after Viva La Bam, I was signed to Joe Simpson, Jessica and Ashley's dad, and he was negotiating contracts for me and doing that stuff. And then he was helping me try and sell a show, and we got a show into development. It was tentatively called RAAB Effect or whatever, and it was like basically the show concept was I wanted to get a tour bus and then tour around the country to like local comedy clubs and get like the comedian to come do like an on the street skit with me, and like we'll go fuck with people. We'll do like sort of jackassy things, but like get one of the local comedians, the people that are up and coming and that you kind of know, you know, like the comedians that are like on the brink, and just be like, let's go do some fucking funny shit out here in the small little rural America. Just funny, like, you know, hidden camera shit, and then just funny jackassy type stuff. And that got into development. We worked on that for like 6 months, trying to get it off the ground. And then people, the person who had, you know, put it in development got fired, and then somebody switched, and then switched around, and then they cleared the slate. And then I was like, what the fuck does this mean? You know, like my whole thing was like, prior to that, everything we did was turning to gold. So then like, that was the first time I kind of got rejected, you know, and started to see what the business was really about, instead of like just some kid from Westchester, Pennsylvania who's like, oh, the world is ours, I guess. Fuck yeah, you know, and the reality set in that, man, it's a really hard business, and it's really hard to actually get a show off the ground and get it running and get it to air and then get it reordered. And like all the success that had happened as a result of Jackass was like such a rare thing. And that became, you know, I became aware of that, I think, at that point. And that's what led to me going to camera, because I was like, look, if I go learn how to use a camera and learn how to do that, I can just film all the shit I want to film. And then people can't stop me from doing that. And you know, and that became true. I mean, I've learned how to do that. And now I'm in a position where I do understand the flow and the workings of the set so well that I decided to start my own production company. And now we just did a feature film in January. We shot it. It's called Afternooner. And then we did a little premiere for it. And now we're kind of circling, you know, entering it into like film festivals and stuff, looking to get a streaming deal with it. And then I just did a music video with Darren Miller from CKY, his band 96 Bitter Beings. We just shot a music video. They've got a new album coming out on Nuclear Blast, which is Slayer's record label. And we're all psyched about that. We just completed that music video. Then I got another one happening in like 2 weeks. So just doing a bunch of that stuff, staying busy with that. But yeah, it's like long-winded answer to that, but I think that's what podcasts are about, right? I'm good because I love to hear myself talk. So
that was very insightful, and I just gotta tell you, it's really cool to hear you reconciled, because like when you grow up watching people and you hear there are falling outs, like just to hear you guys reconciled, it must be really cool to do. But like when you talk about the dark place really quick, I want to say, because I do have that written down, is it because it was a state of you guys getting successful at such like a young age that you like did not know how to handle the fame at that point? Like what happened that like led to that?
I mean, I could say that has something to do with it, sure. But I mean, it all depends on what you believe. I believe I'm an alcoholic addict from birth. Okay. You know, I believe that I had that in me. I mean, I was the dude who was eating those big bags of Skittles and drinking 2 liters and like eating a whole fucking cake, you know, like I'm just that guy because I like that. Like, I'm like, oh, well, if it's good, just have more, you know? And so I think that the environment with Jackass, with getting some notoriety at a young age, getting, you know, a couple bucks, like I said, I never became a millionaire, but when you're 20 years old and you're, you know, getting hundreds of thousands of dollars, you're starting to go, holy shit, I'll get everybody around, you know, and like it becomes this perfect environment where that stuff can really take flight. But I will say that it probably I would have found my way to it regardless of whatever the situation would have been. But I can say that does help speed things along for sure.
And how quick? I just want to say congratulations. How long have you been sober now?
Oh, thank you. In September 25th, and I always laugh because my group will be like 11 years, but September 25th will be 12 years. But if you say that a day before 12, they're like 11 years, shut up, you know, because you basically, you don't want to jinx that. And I do have 11 years, 11 months, whatever. But yeah, man, it's been an awesome journey. It's life on life's terms, as they say. It's not like all of a sudden when I got sober that everything just got easy and life was just like, oh, now just float along. You know, it was actually like, fuck, I never learned how to deal with this shit, you know? And then now you had to learn, you know?
Do you think more of it too is almost like an image you had to maintain because you were seen as like these lunatic kids and you had to keep that image going, and that was kind of like almost like a stereotype where you have to, hey, they must party a lot, you know, let's go party with them.
Yeah, that's a great point. And that as well, you know, as you were saying, is like there's that definitely led to it. And I would say, yeah, man, you know, like I'm RAAB himself, so fuck, we're never gonna be with RAAB himself again, dude. Do some cocaine. I'm like, fuck yeah, cocaine. And then it's like, oh, RAAB himself, take a shot, and I'm like, all right, cool. And then before you know it, you're fucking 30 shots in and you got a whole fucking 8-ball and you're like, God damn, what the fuck just happened? You know, and I've had that happen for real, where like 30 minutes later, I'm like, dude, I did 20 shots from the beginning of the bar to the end of the bar. And I already snorted like a gram and I'm on my way to fucking finishing this 8-ball in like 3 hours.
And you just went out there for a baseball game to watch on TV all of a sudden.
Yeah.
It's done in 30 minutes.
Yeah, dude. And I mean, I have some fucking wild stories like we called the drunk-a-log. Like that particular day that I was talking about, I walked into the bar. Somebody was like, yo, and then they noticed. And I always laugh because I'm not as recognizable as like, let's say like a Raekwon or like, you know, a Wee Man or like Knoxville. Obviously Knoxville is like the biggest, but those guys, like they can't really go anywhere because they just look the way they do. Like where I have this big beard now, but if I didn't, I have like a normal hat, whatever, just look like some regular guy. So it wasn't as recognizable, but when people did, I always laughed because someone next to them would be like, who's this guy? And then they'll be like, oh, it's the guy from MTV. And they're like, oh, yo, what's up, man? Can I have a picture? And you're like, you don't know who the fuck I am. You know, but it was just funny because they would all get in on it. And then that time, so I had this, I always call it like the, what is it? The fucking Goldilocks. Wasn't she the one that like went into the Bears and then this one was just like, so I fucking like, okay, I get all drunk from like the start of the bar to the end of the bar. It was like 20 shots. I swear to God, dude, it was like not even in a half hour. By the time I had walked down, I was like, Jesus Christ. Like, cause then I just kept doing, yo, we're never going to be with you again. Whatever. And I was like, oh man. And by the end, I was like, I think I'm going to fucking throw up. Like, so I go out back and I walked around to the thing and I don't remember anything. I just full blacked out. I laid in the alley and threw up and then passed out and nobody knew where I was. So then I fell asleep. I woke up like when the sun's coming up, like, and the sun was beating down on me in the alley. And I'm like, oh man, it's like almost sweaty, you know? And I was like, oh fuck. I looked at this house. I was like, oh, I guess I was partying here. So I walked right into the house and I went in the house. And like I walked upstairs and I saw like, oh, there's like some trash everywhere. There's like two guys on the couch trying like, yeah, this is definitely where I was partying, you know? And I went up into the master bedroom and like I saw like a girl was in the one room and so I get in the master bedroom and I just fucking lay down full sleep, like slept for like 3 hours. And then I woke up and at that time it was like 9 something or whatever. And I was like, oh, as I woke up, I was like, yo, this looks like a regular house. And I come walking down, I walked down the steps and over, like, it was like up a little step to the other room. She was like 14 years old.
Oh man.
So then I like walked down the steps and the 2 guys on the couch were 11. I mean, at the most 11. They were like 11-year-old kids. And it was like a pizza box and like a 2 liter of Pepsi, you know, like, so I, like, as I stumbled in drunk, I was like, oh yeah, party, you know, but it was not that at all. And so then I fucking snuck out and I was like, oh my God, like I just slept in this random family's house.
Fucking ate all the Skittles.
Yeah, ate all the Skittles. And like, fuck, it was like, dude, like, I mean, only thing I can come up with is like the parents went for like a nice like sunrise walk on the beach, some romantic thing while some drunken fucking bums sleeping in their bed and their kids are there. Like, dude, I was like, I was like worried for those parents after that. I was like, some scumbag like me is coming into your house. But that's kind of the way that I would drink and the way that I would do things. I mean, that's one of a million of those stories where like, you know, that those things happen. And, but yeah, like to your point, right? It was like, that's what would happen is I felt the need to like live up to this image. So I would drink and party because everyone's going, yeah, fuck yeah, Jackass this thing. And you're like, he's fucking crazy. And like, and you know, for a while, here's the thing, like underneath it all, I felt like I wasn't this crazy person, but the reality was that I was, because like we talk about that in the program, like how I became the person that I used to cross the street to get away from, you know, like, and like, I was that dude who like, people were like, whoa, settle down. Like it's too fucking much. I can't handle that, you know? And, but that was just the way it ended up, you know, but I'm happy to be alive, happy to be sober, and happy to be like, you know, kind of able to tell those stories in a lighthearted way because at the time, some of those things were fucking gnarly. And, you know, I've definitely been in some binds as a result of drinking and drugging.
And for 15 years, the 11-year-old kid told his other 2 people in the house he swears he saw you. And
Yeah,
now they're gonna watch.
Yeah, he's like, that guy that shits on things from Jackass was in my house. Like, you're like, yeah, right. He's like, I swear, I think he took a dump in my bathroom.
They put the kid in the mental hospital, and now it was true the whole time. Yeah.
You know, that's funny, Ellie, because an upper decker, like, I feel like, so I created something. I think I created it. I used, instead of the upper decker, I used to call it the cherry on top, and I'm such a fucking prick. But I would.
Now we're talking.
In the hotel rooms, whenever I would stay there, I used to take the towels and jam them into the toilet so that like all the water was sogged up and it was just the towel like above it. So then you could take a shit on top of the towel and it was out of the water, so it would make it smell so fucking bad. You know, like the whole room would just freak. So people walk in and be like, "Oh, what the fuck?" I'm like, I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't know. It's the fucking like housekeeping hasn't come, you know. But like I used to just fuck with people like that, and I love that cherry on top. But the upper decker is the same kind of deal. Getting that shit flush is always fun.
So it's so the creativity is just like pretty much. It means if I piss on an electric fence, then years later I'm gonna get all these creative ideas.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you. What hurt more, pissing on the electrical fence or hitting that shopping cart over that bush and cracking your head? And I think, would you break your arm and you got a concussion? Which one hurt more?
Yeah, I got a concussion, tore my rotator cuff. That's apples and oranges for sure. It's two totally different types of pain. What I can remember after having all these concussions. So basically, the pissing on the electric fence. The way I could explain it is like, of course, like right when the pee like connected. It did this little like, it's like, you know that feeling like if you stick your finger in the socket, it's not too bad. It's just like, it's like that. But then it was like that on my dick. But then I was worried, like, is that going to make my dick not work? You know, like, so, so I was freaked out about that. But the main thing was the feeling in my teeth. So it felt like I was chewing on tinfoil.
Oh my God.
Right when that happened, it was like, oh, the zap in the dick was like, ow. And then it was like, whoa. like, I don't know what's going on in my mouth. You know, like, so that was the part that was weird. It was like this, like tinfoil, like felt like I was chewing on tinfoil and my fillings or something. Like, that's what that was. So I would say in terms of what hurt more, the shopping cart hurt more. But that shit freaked me out more. Because I didn't know what was going on, and then I didn't know, like, and I was worried about my dick. So then on the way home, I'm like, everybody look the other way. I got to try to get a boner, you know, like, just to make sure.
All my sperm got zapped.
Yeah. So, but you know, like that. So, but then the shopping cart, like that fucking shopping cart thing. I mean, there's many of them, but that shit, I got so worked by that shopping cart, like so many different ways. I broke my tailbone in the shopping cart. I got multiple concussions. I got another concussion when I smacked my head into the soda machine. On one of the CKYs, we were hanging out with Bloodhound Gang, and I think it was Jimmy that was Jimmy Pop was pushing, and he was like, dude, he was all nervous, so then I kept giving him shit, like, stop being a fucking pussy and just do it, you know, like, and he was like, because he's like pushing like real light, and I was like, dude, that's not what we're trying to do. So then he was like, all right, and he fucking pushed super hard, and I went flying, and I ended up, I smacked my elbow so hard that I displaced my ulnar nerve. And
that tendon.
Like, yeah, like the ulnar nerve is like, you know, your funny bone.
No, that's your funny bone, your ulnar nerve, yeah.
So it went outside of this little bone. So it was just out there. So then, like, I was supposed to have surgery, but they were like, look, if you have surgery, like, it could just replace itself if you just like let it go. But if you have surgery, it's like a major surgery, so you got to make a decision. So I decided, all right, let's just see, like, give it a little time. But dude, it was like a few months where like if you just like touch your pinky or anything, it was all funny bone. The whole thing, like every time it's like fuck, like every time felt like a funny bone. You couldn't rest your arm on a thing or do anything. That happened, and then a concussion from the soda machine, but that happened from the cement. and then another time I broke my tailbone flying over this big gap on it. And then that time I tore my rotator cuff and got a concussion. And the rotator cuff was the injury that just kept on giving, because I've dislocated my arm like 100 times as a result of that. Because every time I would go on tour with CKY, I'd be like, yo, I'm gonna jump off the fucking balcony into the crowd or whatever. And dude, my arm would be ripped out and I'd be getting back up on the stage trying to put my arm back in, and then everyone would get hyped, and then I'd get the adrenaline, be like, fucking do it again. And then you do it again. I would dislocate my arm like 4 times in a show on some tours, you know, and just like
pop it back in.
Everyone kept being like the Mel Gibson thing, and I was like, fuck, like, you know, because this one I separated and it went down like that, so you had to like go back in, but then this one ripped up that way, so the only way to get it in is to go, and then it goes in and pops in, and then but you get this like crazy rush from it. It's like it gives you like this, like, I don't know if it's like endorphins or adrenaline or whatever, it just like shoots through you and you're like, and then you're like all fucking high, and then it's like, all right, might as well jump again.
Yeah, it's something I'm never gonna try out.
I hate to say this, I'm not trying to be like the Debbie Downer, but you are probably, if not already, gonna have some serious nerve damage if you already don't.
Wait, what?
No way.
I love being the Debbie Downer 21 years later. Maybe you shouldn't do that. But I definitely, because I'm 41, and I will say I had this joke the other day. I said to my mama, I was like, yeah, I definitely know I'm over 40 because I got injured sleeping the other night. You know, like
I use that all the time. All the time.
So this arm partially separated, and it was like all fucking numb, and I couldn't get it back in. Like, but that hadn't happened in a while, so you know, I was feeling like good about it not happening. But yeah, like I'll definitely have major issues, you know, and I think I already have a little bit of that like arthritis-y stuff, and like things that are like probably maybe a little early onset because of stupid shit, you know. But at the same time, fuck, we're all gonna be old, decrepit dumbasses at some point if we're lucky. Yeah. I mean, if we're lucky. The fact that I'm getting old enough to be like, oh, my arthritis is acting up, like it feels good because I did not think I'd be here. You know? I didn't necessarily live my life conducive to sticking around for a while.
I just
very valid point.
I want to go back to the cherry on top thing. Did you write that on your resume, like just to go back to the resume thing?
Yeah, like, hey, I got one, like special skills, like
special skills.
Like PowerPoint, Microsoft Word. I can demonstrate for you.
It's a scratch and snip resume, actually.
Yeah. Raab, I got one for you. When you take a shit with the shower water running, it's a steamed dumpling. That's one.
Oh, there you go. Dude, that's a fucking funny one because my buddy had that happen where he brought this girl
Never heard that.
And he did it on accident. So that steamed dumpling happened to him on accident. He was like just a fucking neurotic mess, and he brought this girl home, first time like dating or whatever. They slept together. He had like this loft bedroom, and then down lower as you get down, it was like an open top like shower. So he goes down and he was like, fuck, like I can't take a shit. So I can't take a shit because she's going to smell the shit because it's just going to waft up there. So his dumb ass tried to turn the shower on and then take a shit in the shower and jam it down the fucking drain. But all it did was like just make the shit smell so like the steamed dumpling. And it made it so much worse that she fucking full on woke up like, what the fuck is going on?
Oh, man.
But yeah, that reminded me of that. That's hilarious.
I guess I'm the only normal one who just used the toilet to shit.
I think you are, yeah. You're alone in this. Even Ellie probably has a shit story. You know what's funny about, just back on shit stories? So my buddy I did a podcast with where he was like, yo, like when's the last time you shit yourself? And I was like, I don't really know. Like I you know, and we're talking about that, whatever. 2 days after that, I'm in the middle of traffic and I shit my fucking pants in traffic on the phone with my mom. I'm like, Mom, I gotta go. I shit my pants. She's like, what? I was like, yeah, I just shit my pants. So she's cracking up as I'm hanging up, and like I literally at the red light had to like pull my pants down, get the underwear off, wipe my ass with the underwear, and then get it like into a dumpster nearby. But like, but yeah, it was like I'm just imagining like the people next to me. I'm like, I'm trying to make sure my dick's not hanging out. It's like somebody's like in traffic, like, but you're like, oh man, no, sorry man, I just got some shit I gotta get rid of. So I had to tell him, I was like, dude, I think you fucking like predicted the future on that one.
I need to know, out of all the shit stories, the window on Times Square with the people's faces.
I love that one.
The running at full speed. The one where you're shitting out the window driving, or the one where you hop out of the car when that guy's sitting on the curb. Which one of those was like the hardest to actually do for you? Like to get the shit out? Was it?
The hardest to get the shit out was the running because it didn't work. Like, because I ate the whole box of X-Lax, and then Bam and Jess were like, dude, like, do you have to shit? I'm like, no. I don't know what's happening. And it was like an hour later, I'm like, dude, I ate, because you're supposed to eat 2 pieces, and I ate the whole fucking thing, 18. It was like 2 slabs of 9 pieces of chocolate. So I ate the whole thing, and it wasn't happening. Then I eventually, like, after an hour, because I'm like, I don't know if I'm just like have irritable bowel for coffee, but because I can't drink coffee, but I drank like a half a cup of coffee, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh shit, like, and then it was like, get the camera, it's fucking not, it's coming, like I can't hold it in. And then it just turned into a mess, and I was shitting like crazy. And I called my mom on that one again. My mom loves the calls, but she's a nurse, she's a retired nurse now, but she was a nurse, so she was like, when I called, I was like, Mom, I ate the whole box of X-Lax, and she's like, Christian, like, why would you do that? I'm like, well, I wanted it to work faster, and she's like, no, like, you can get dehydrated. That's a terrible idea. Like, really bad shit can happen. So she was like, look, you have to eat these Imodiums. So I ate the Imodium to counteract the X-Lax. And then that just creates like World War III in your stomach, because you're just like, oh my God, I gotta shit. And then you get to the toilet, it's like, wait, I don't have to shit. And then you keep thinking you have to, and then you don't. And then and yeah, there's a whole big story to that whole thing. What happened afterwards? Like, I took a girl home and I shit the bed. Like, it was this whole thing. But but I didn't fully shit the bed. I shit in between my butt cheeks. And then I was like trying to tell her, like, oh yeah, I just need to get some water. And I'm like, and she was on top of me. I'm like trying to slide out of the bed, like, and it was like trying to not let the butt cheek like rub the shit across the sheet. So you're like trying to keep them clenched as you're getting out. And dude, as I ran to the thing, as I was trying to sit down, I shit a little. And it hit the toilet seat, and I fucking slid off the seat. And it was just like shit all over me. I'm like covered in shit, and then trying to like, and then I'm like, as I got to finally sit down, it was like the full on like Dumb and Dumber scene of like just legs rattling, like shitting. Yeah, and then I had to just get in the shower and like rinse off, and then I had to try to explain like, where's the water? I'm like, oh, like I don't know, and then. The next morning, she was like asking like what happened, and Bam's like, "Oh, he was shitting," like, and he totally like blew my cover. Yeah, and it was funny because she like pretended to call a friend, but then just like walked out and then down the road and like got picked up down the road. One of those walk of shames, like, oh really? Like, oh yeah, he shit all over. I don't know.
It would have been great if it was something petty, like she didn't care about the shit. Yeah, he got water for himself, but didn't bring one back.
Right, exactly. She's like, what a selfish prick. Like,
Ellie, I know you grew up watching Viva La Bam with your brother, so take it if you got any questions.
Yeah, Jackass. Sunday nights were a big deal in my family because my brother, my dad, and I would all watch Jackass, and then obviously Viva La Bam. But so awesome. Yeah, a couple things. Not to go back to the darkness too much, but it seems like substance abuse, and whether that's alcoholism or drug abuse, unfortunately seem to be the kind of like dark aspect of what you guys do. Because I read Steve-O's book, I know Knoxville had some addiction issues. It just seems like, unfortunately, that just came with, the nature of the beast, was just these addiction issues or substance abuse, whether it's, not, dealing with trauma appropriately. But is that like a safe assessment to make? I'm not like trying to condone anybody. I mean, I think it's fantastic you've been sober for almost 11 years, and I commend you for that. I had a friend. Shut up!
Allie, I'm feeling very judged by you and your dog right now.
He can be very judgmental. So.
They can sense evil.
Hey, listen, he's totally right on. No, but yes, I can say, like, I heard something, and I always, always have to give credit to, like, either my program or people that have helped throughout all this stuff. And I haven't, none of my thoughts are really original in that regard, but I've heard some really cool things. And Dr. Drew talked about it a little bit with the idea that people who are either addicts ahead of time or prone to it or whatever seem to, there's correlation, obviously, like, and you mentioned it, from like childhood trauma, things like that have occurred that are not treated, and then they manifest in those ways. And so what he mentioned that really rung a bell for me was that the trauma that's untreated manifests in the lifestyle of a performer. And I think for most of us, we probably have all experienced a little bit of that trauma stuff, and then that led to seeking out being a performer and wanting to sort of and I don't know if it's like, you learn it later, you don't know it in the time, but you might be like seeking approval and seeking attention in ways of like, oh, well, these certain things happened in these traumatic moments in my life or whatever had happened, and now I feel sort of accepted or beloved because I'm being a goofball in front of people and doing that, and then ultimately it can manifest in a way that becomes dark and unhealthy and stuff like that. Because I wouldn't ever take away from the fact that I got lucky and was able to perform and do all those things with my friends. Absolutely. But then on the other side of it, like, I don't know. It's a weird thing. I don't think I would ever even stop my darkest days, because I think that I've learned over time that those are really good, useful tools in being able to, like,
absolutely
relate to others if they're going through things or whatever. And so that's been that. But yeah, I think that's a good point. I think there's definitely some of that involved. And yeah, it's no coincidence that we've all kind of struggled. Some of the guys, were I think probably a little bit better with, and I don't know if the word's better, but I think a little bit more aware of it, and they treated it as it came, and
right.
And then some of us allowed it to kind of manifest to a darker place. And
Sure, of course. And no, I think it's commendable. I really do commend you for sharing your story and just being so honest about it, because I think that's the other thing too. I know I have a friend. She just called me out of the blue one day last year, and she's like, "I'm an alcoholic," and I was like, "Okay, well, what can I do?
Can I get you a beer?" It's like, no.
Right, yeah. Like, hey, you want to do some shots? Actually, but I was like, wow, I'm really touched that you want to share this with me. I was like, how can I support you? Like, do you want me to go to meetings with you? Like, and she's like, I already have a sponsor. She's just like, I don't know how to tell you, but I feel like you'd be a safe person to tell because you wouldn't judge me. I was like, I'm not going to judge you for taking care of yourself. Like, if anything, I'm proud.
Like, listen, bitch, we all know you've been pissing in the closet for 2 years now. You're like, hey,
right.
no, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
No secret. But I mean, I just think it's, it's so stigmatizing. Like, no one wants to admit that they have a problem, and then two, being like, oh, now I'm just the alky or whatever. But I really do think it's great you're sharing and being open about it. Because my friend, she's like, I didn't want you to judge me, or she's really embarrassed by it, and I was like, don't be embarrassed by it. You're handling your shit. That's awesome. Like, I'm really proud of you. What can I do to support you? So, I think, hopefully the world's kind of changing more to that direction where people can recognize I have a problem and I need to handle it. Not I have a problem. You're a worthless drunk. It's like, okay.
Yeah. Well, first off, that's awesome of you to be such a good friend. And I think people are very lucky when they have friends like you that are like, open to it. And what's really cool that she felt safe to go to you and talk about it, and that's amazing. And I don't mean to joke on it like that, but we like in our program we laugh a lot about this kind of shit, because we'll say, like, I'm an alcoholic and I was the last one to figure that out. Everyone else around me already knew, and I just figured it out. But but yeah, like I think you hit on a really good point of the stigma. Oh shit! Did I lose you? Where are you?
There you go, man.
No, we're still here.
I don't know where the fuck. Sorry. No. My screen's everywhere. So yeah, like you hit on a really good point of the stigma of alcoholism and addiction and stuff, and really it's it's a mental health issue, and it's not treated that way. It's treated as like a criminal issue, and and I have a buddy. It's a rough story. He passed back in last September, so it's almost been a year, he him and his friend actually died together, and it was rough. So, but what happened is I don't think they mind me sharing it, but it is a really rough thing. So his daughter was in the home. She was asleep upstairs. She's 17, and obviously he's, struggling with addiction and all that stuff. He was in a bad spot, and then he got help, and then he was doing better, and then this night he slipped and was doing stuff, him and his bud, and they were just trying to touch it a little bit, and they ended up he OD'd, and then his bud was trying to get him the Narcan, and then he OD'd, and then they slumped on each other and died on the steps. And so where they died on the steps, his daughter was upstairs, and the cops come, they rope it off with the crime scene thing, they make it a crime scene. They made the daughter stay in the house. They wouldn't allow her to come out with the grandmother because it's a crime scene. So they had to investigate the crime scene. And then the daughter had to walk down the steps and step over her dead father to sit on the couch while they waited and asked her questions and did shit before they moved the body or did any of that. And it's really like, I won't get too pissed off about it, but it's really fucking frustrating because that's disgusting. And it's created a trauma for a child who doesn't need that trauma, because it's being treated as a crime rather than
like
a mental health or a health issue. And say, so let's say he's dead immediately. Okay, let's get him in an ambulance. Let's take him to the morgue. Like, what's the big deal? Like, she does not need to see that situation. No. She does not need to experience that. It's already traumatic enough that you're losing your father, and then you're having to witness it and see it and sit there while there's a body. Like, it's just too much. So that's a major point that I struggle with, because, obviously there's legislation in place that makes people a lot of money, so they don't want to really face that. And I don't want to be on here and be a political guy, but at the same time, it's tough because you're like, I watch my friends die from this shit, and then you get judged from the stigma of, just get it together, bud, just stop fucking doing it. And you're like, it's not that. That's not that easy.
No, and I think that's the problem too, where people that have the mental health issue, they want to talk to somebody, but what you just said there, where they say get over it and just move on, it's a phase, yada yada yada.
Right.
People are afraid to tell somebody or talk to somebody unless they know that person's going through it or has gone through it, because nobody understands it, and all those people do and want is somebody to just listen. That's it. Just listen so they can get it out, and then you can move forward with getting help. And I think they're afraid to do that.
Well, yeah, and it is a scary thing. And like Ellie mentioned, like, your friend was afraid and she came to you and felt safe, and it's awesome that she has a friend like you and then can start that journey of getting healthy. And it is what you've mentioned, Ray, is like what's crazy, because what my experience is that we Chad Ginsburg always used to say this funny saying, like, I just want to be different like everybody else, and like and so we would laugh. It's just hilarious. But really growing up, I think, like, when you are an addict or an alcoholic, you do feel this feeling of feeling different. And I think every kid, regardless of whether you're an alcoholic or an addict, you feel that way when you're going through puberty. Like, hey man, Kevin got a dick already and I don't even have ball hair, like that feeling is like, everyone feels a little bit left out, apart, separated or what, all that stuff. Just being a human is hard in general, and then putting the mental health stuff and the addiction stuff, like, on top of it. you know, and I think it's so much more out there, especially with the world we live in. We're so privy to so much information and all these other things, and it's really hard to process all of this stuff. And we're all like, you know, we're all seeing traumatic situations on a daily basis, you know, and it's hard, but like you said, Ray, about feeling like you don't have anybody that you can relate to and all that. When I got into a program, I all of a sudden felt like I was so alone. And then I walked into like this fucking gymnasium filled with a bunch of people that were like, I totally get it, man. And you were like, what? Everyone understands? You know, and then that feeling is the most amazing feeling that, like, I always say this about alcoholics or addicts, like, I don't even need to know you at all. But if I know that you're an alcoholic or an addict and you know that I am, and we walk into the room and look at each other, it's like, yep, I know you. Immediately already know everything and all the struggles and all the things. Sure, we have different stories and we have different journeys and we have all these other things, but that the ability to relate to that with another person who struggles with it is so powerful, and it really helps when you're able to get into a place where you can relate with others. You know, it's like, you know, it's like if you were a guy who played guitar and everybody's over there shooting basketballs and you're like, I just want to play guitar, and there's no other guitar guy, and then you go into a room and there's like 30 people with like drums and basses and guitar. You're like, yes, I'm fucking home, you know. And I think that's like the feeling that you get in recovery.
That's awesome. Okay, I have a lighter note question. Also, you sound like
no. Let's keep it dark.
Yeah, let's give it an idea. Rain, you know, it's Monday.
I'll take my shirt off.
Yeah.
Okay, well, speaking of guitar, obviously you're a guitar player, so is my
a little bit. This is all poser shit. When I like I strum
it's
around
a Zoom background.
But when you're I strum around the guitar a little bit. But when you're friends with like Darren Miller and people like, you're like, I'm not gonna say I play guitar. Oh, there you go. You play guitar, yeah.
No, so, that's my husband. That's his.
Okay, so
she's a poser too.
Yeah. There you go.
I know they're all over my fucking house because he keeps getting more, and I tell him not to. We have like fucking 14. I'm not.
Hey,
kidding.
Listen, they all feel different. I understand what he's talking about.
I told him this is so. I told him it's like the minute you die, I'm selling all of them. That's I'm not.
I like that we're already at that place. You're like, I'm not saying I'm going to kill you, but if I, slip some.
No, the minute you're dead, I'm selling all of them. But anyway, on a lighter note, what?
I said, how long have you been married? You're already planning his death.
3 years. We've been together for 7.
No, that's why I rap. There's only one mic. Never changes.
Hey. But anyways, okay. So whose idea was the digital bees prank? Because that to this day has like all like my brother and I like.
Wait, hold on. Wait, where was the guitar thing? What did you say about? Wasn't there something about the guitar thing? Yeah. Oh, I thought you were saying something about. Speaking of guitar, just the husband that you wanted to kill him and sell the guitar.
Yeah. I mean, if he goes missing, but it's fine. No, but we've no.
If he goes missing, I'm not guilty. But no, the digital bees.
That shit was fucking hilarious. I still to this day crack
I
this
don't
up.
know whose exact idea. I mean, usually I would say those kind of things are usually Brandon DiCamillo, but I'm not sure. In those days, especially with the Viva La Bam, like what we would do is me, Ryan, Rake, Bam, and Brandon would all like sit in a writer's room, and then Tally and Troy and a couple of the others would like sit and take notes, and we would just throw out random shit like, what if you did this? What if you did this? And they would just be like writing it all down, like, okay. And then but it seems like that's usually a Brandon thing, like something like that would be coming from him.
Okay. All right. And then one more if I can interject. All right, antiquing. How many times were you antiqued, and then who was your favorite person to antique?
I have no idea how many times I've been antiqued, because I think there's even a bunch of times that are not on camera or whatever, like just if somebody has flour, then you're screwed. But and then what was the second part of it?
Oh, who is your favorite person to antique?
Rake. I mean, 100% Rake. Like, Rake is
the
best one to fuck with. Like, the hair just makes it go back in his face. And, like, and we put like crabs in his underwear the one
That-
time, and we ended up doing shit like, and like I just love him because he's like, yeah, what the fuck, I'm fuck, and just like he gets so fucked up from it that like I just loved messing with him the most because he was so fun for me, and I was such a greaseball with him because I would get him to trust that, like, dude, you can trust me. They fuck with me so much, man. Like, you know that I'm not gonna fuck with you. Like, they fuck with me so much, I would never do that. And then you're like fucking with him, like, and he's like, motherfucker, like totally would trust me, and then I could get him to do that, you know, and get him back for it. Whatever.
That's how I used to slime my friends in Monopoly, you know, like make a trade with me and then just buy hotels everywhere they land. A little different, but
yeah.
I'll do one more. I know you gotta go soon, Rab. You've been awesome in your time. I'll do one more little round thing before we get to our final segment.
Yeah.
So I'll start really quick. Ray, thanks for coming on. What one clip do you watch all the time and it's just you laugh every time? Out of anything you've ever done or watched that one of your friends have gone through, like the funniest moment to you?
You mean of our stuff?
Of your
like,
stuff, yeah, your stuff.
I mean, there's not something that I watch like probably ever, but
that you experienced then. Yeah.
In terms of like, because there was like in stuff that's not our stuff, I have ideas for that.
Yeah, go on, give it. Yeah, that's fine. Give us one.
But like, I mean, stuff that is our things. I love. I do like shit. I love all those kind of things. And I don't know, Dave England always fucking makes me laugh so bad. But
we need
like,
a shit battle.
Yeah, exactly. You know, he's like my shit brother, and I love that dude. But I would say like aside from our stuff, because I like not to act like that, but that was stuff we did, and then I don't usually rewatch it much. And every once in a blue moon, I'll go back and be like, "Oh, that was cool," you know. But that's pretty rare. But so there was this Quantum Leap episode, and I don't know if you remember Quantum Leap from when we were younger, but Scott Bakula was like the guy in Quantum Leap, and it was I think I'm older than you guys, right? Like,
yeah.
I'm 39, so I'm the oldest.
You're my age, yeah. So Quantum Leap back in the day, there was this whole thing that like the guy gets punched in the face and he goes, "Oh, excuse me, Baron," and then he gets punched, and like Brandon and I would just sit there and laugh at that fucking over and over and over, and that's one. But then also, I don't know if you guys are watching I Think You Should Leave, but it's Tim Robinson. He's a dude who he basically was on SNL maybe for like a minute, and then they like I think they got rid of him. And I think personally is way fucking funnier than anybody on there. And I don't mean to be a dick like that because Kate McKinnon's hilarious, and there's some funny ass people on there. I don't mean to be a dick, but he is my type of a thing. And his show, I Think You Should Leave. There is this clip on there where he does this bit that's like a hosted like candid camera, almost like Bad Grandpa. He dresses up in this outfit. And he, there's this thing that he does where you have to watch it, but it's this clip of I Think You Should Leave. And I swear to God, if I watch it right now, my sides will be hurting. Like, it's one of those things I've watched it like 100 times, and I fucking die laughing every time because it's the funniest shit I think I've ever seen in my life. Like, like that. I mean, or, okay, and then that reminds me, that brings me back to our stuff. Brandon DiCamillo, to me is the funniest dude ever. And so Tim Robinson reminds me of him and that kind of like weird sense of humor stuff. And Brandon stuff, like when he was just going off like in Haggard, like at that like little, like train track thing, and he's just making shit up, like that stuff is funny as hell to me. And like it just his ability to just run with stuff, like those are the things I'll watch over again and be like, oh my God, it's still so fucking funny. And some of his prank calls still hold up. And
we still recite those.
Like fucking Pete Rose rookie card.
Yeah.
What about if I was at a toll booth and
your white fannies are in there? Your white fannies.
Yeah. Dude, that stuff is amazing. Like Brandon is one of like the funniest dudes, and still is, and you know, and I see him from time to time, and just laugh my ass off with him. But yeah, if you guys haven't watched it, watch that. I Think You Should Leave. It's fucking funny.
I will.
Second season, first episode. It's like the third skit in, and it's this prank show, this false prank show. But you might not think it's that. It was the funniest shit I ever saw. Like,
see me personally, and it has to do with you. I actually watched it today and laughed my ass off. Still, whatever happened? Did Kiki ever make it to Times Square?
She made it to the heavenly Times Square, but yeah. Dude, that was very stupid. It's just, I know, it's like the most ridiculous.
Stupid for Kiki.
But yeah, man, that was so funny, that skit, and then became a couple of them. But like that one was one that like Bam and I would just do those voices and just like try to feed the cat like a bunch of idiots. And he was like, "Oh, just gonna get the camera and film it." And like we're doing it, and we're like, "This is like." As we're watching the video and he's like editing, I was like, this is so fucking dumb, but it's hilarious to us. And then we were like tired and delirious as we're editing. I'm like, I think it's just only going to be funny to us. But then he started putting like all that dramatic music and all this shit, and it just started getting funnier and funnier. And we're like, this is fucking hilarious. But we just felt like, I think it's only funny to us. And then like when he put it out, it happens to be one of those things that people like remember. And fuck, you never would have known, because if you were judging yourself, you'd be like, nah, dude, we're just delirious. We think it's funny. Then nobody's going to think this is funny. This is like stupid, whatever. But I think because it's so stupid and so ridiculous and whatever.
That's what makes it work.
Like, it ended up working.
It's very in living.
You know what else?
In Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what it reminded me of.
Oh, yeah.
Ellie, before we get to our final segment, you got anything left?
No, we can do the fun. Oh yeah, do you have a favorite animal? I always have to ask.
She's all about animals.
Favorite animal?
Gotta be a cat, though.
I mean, I would say it was a cat until the last cat we had fucking pissed all over everything and ripped everything apart. I was like so mad.
That's why I don't fuck with cats.
Yeah,
that's what they do.
Don't fuck with cats. You've seen that documentary.
Yes, exactly.
But I would say, I don't know, like I would say if I like, and this is weird probably because I didn't like ride horses or anything, but I would say like a horse is just so fucking amazing because it's this like incredibly powerful creature, but like this most gentle, soft thing. And like, I feel like you can connect with them on a deep level, like when you're just with them and they're fucking rad like that. I'd say the horse, but then, you know, if I don't know if like, as far as a dog or a cat guy, like I'm not saying on either, but I do like both.
Ellie has a hidden agenda. Ellie,
I like the horse.
Follow up with why you asked that question.
Yeah.
First of all, how dare you expose me like that?
Also, horses have huge cocks, so that's really a great.
And fat asses. They have really fat asses.
Yeah, great.
Yes.
Yeah. No, so I was just wondering. I do my own show called Just Animals, and for whatever reason, we're really big in Australia. So yeah, if you
Called
want to.
Just Animals.
Yeah.
Nice. So what do you do? Like, do you guys? Yeah. But I mean, like, do you bring on people like that?
Oh yeah, we bring on like experts. We actually had like the equivalent of a Australian senator come on, like a member of the Australian Parliament come on.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we're again. I don't know why we took off in Australia. I'm not complaining. It's awesome. People think we're an Australian show, and I'm like, no, I'm from California. But it's been a pretty fun journey. But yeah, if you ever want to come on and talk about animals, we've had non-animal expert guests come on. They've actually been really fun. It kind of breaks things up. But yeah, we'd love to have you on if you're interested.
Oh yeah, I'll do it. I mean, I at least have had a bunch of cats and dogs, and then
perfect.
And then I've like done a little bit of work with La Mancha Animal Rescue and things like that, and then been over.
Oh, with the goats, with the little ears, La Mancha, those kind of goats.
No, it's actually called that. It's here.
Okay.
It's like a rescue spot where they bring a lot of dogs and cats and stuff in, but they also have like horses and other things. Like if the horse like was like, you know, raced or whatever, they'll like take care of it. Or if somebody like had it at a dog track, like, you know, like just if they did stuff like that to the animals, they like these people basically help them through the trauma of what that is and bring them back to like a happy life. So I've been over there and done that bit. And so, I mean, I could probably pull something out of my ass to talk about.
Travis, you got anything?
Yes, I was going to say, Rab, I'm a huge fan. I grew up, watching you guys do Jackass and CKYs. And pretty much everything you guys did, my little crew in fucking middle school used to do, whether it's my cousin, if there was a shopping cart, a trash can, a ramp, a fucking Huffy, we were doing the same old shit. And we take our little shitty camera, put that little cassette tape in the VHS, and then press record, and then try to dub it on this little tape. So my question to you is, we were doing that, and it got to a point where we were like, filming over episodes of In Living Color or whatever, and it was all fucking scratchy, scratchy. So how did you guys manage, or like what kind of camera did you guys shoot on, and then how did you guys manage to piece it all together? Because I know you guys did this a long time ago, and that technology wasn't really out, or no?
Yeah, it cut out a little bit, but yeah, in terms of that, like, so we were kind of lucky because a guy named Joe Hiddleston and a guy named Ryan G were in our area, and they were taping BAM for skateboarding stuff. So like we had him, and then also Dan Wolf. Those three guys were around filming skateboarding all the time, and so they were like kind of handling most of that, in terms of cameras. Like, I mean, the one that sticks out the most is the VX2000, but that was a little later after the fact. In the very beginning, we had that big ass VHS camera.
Yeah.
It had that big tape, and that was the one that Phil bought in the beginning to just kind of shoot BAM's like sponsor me tapes, so in terms of that, yeah, we've definitely done some VCR to VCR editing, and like, did that kind of stuff. But then it got a little bit more professional because of Joe Hiddleston, Dan Wolf, and Ryan G. Like, G was largely on photography, but he also filmed too. But Dan and Joe were handling it. Like, they were getting like computer systems when what is it? I guess it's called nonlinear, or is it called linear editing? I don't know. But like, basically right when it started, they were up on the forefront of what was happening with technology to edit. And I think, when the first CKY, which was like 98, was actually edited together. BAM was doing that with Rob Erickson and those guys from Tumyeto. So they went out to LA and they were like editing it together there. But prior to that, it was really just filming all that stuff and just collecting it. It was just like tape after tape after tape. And then what happened was BAM was like, yo, I have my skate parts, and then Landspeed is trying to put out a skate video, but I have all these other funny ass skits that I want to include in that. And that's where Rob Erickson and those guys from Tumyeto got involved to help put it together for Landspeed. But yeah, I think a lot of it would just sit on shelves, just tapes that weren't edited, for years.
That's interesting.
Crazy. No, that's like, just to like think back on, like, because we used to be like, how the fuck did they do this editing? Because we didn't know. We were like VHSs, and like Trav said, we were carrying little cameras around. So all it takes is some genius, Trav. That's it.
I know. And another. But
you guys were onto it. You were doing it. Like, you were doing exactly that. Like, and then even when I was in college, like my first year, my buddy and I were doing those, like the VCR to VCR edits shit, like, and just figuring that out like that ourselves, because we would film other random shit aside from the CKY and Jackass, because that was just something that, like, dude, since I was a little kid, there's always been a camera around, and even when we weren't filming as a group like that, I wanted to do other things, because it was just like, I need that. And after that stuff, and I started becoming a camera guy, like, there was something missing, like, it was like, oh, this is cool, I'm filming somebody else's stuff and this is my job, but there's something missing. And because of that, I went and did a couple little projects, just learning how to direct and do that stuff, and just shooting content and trying to do that. And that's
the cameras become your drug now.
Yeah, in a sense, like you're like, I need that to feel all right, because I think in a sense, and I'm sure you can all relate to it. I don't think it's just an addict thing, but it's like, if you don't get this energy out, it turns inward and becomes like depressive. So like, you're like, I gotta do something with this, or it's gonna get like a diminishing return, or like a reverse effect, and then I'm gonna be all fucking bummed out. So are you still are you still filming stuff, or?
Yeah, so I was pretty much the one that was filming all that shit when we were growing up, and then I got into like the whole bodybuilding, powerlifting industry, and I was kind of the camera guy, where I would follow these world-class athletes and these powerlifters all over the country, and just kind of, you know, film them in like a, you know, eating all over these different places, traveling, going to all these destinations, into the gym. And I would edit that, so it kind of translated into that. And now we have our own company, and we're doing the same exact thing with different athletes. So it kind of carried over, which is pretty cool. But there's been many different times where it's like, fuck, this whole fucking little USB disk is fucked, or like, this had no audio, or, you know, you kind of like bite your fingernails trying to hope that everything works out, but you get these little moments. But yeah, man, it carried over. It's awesome. I still love doing it. So
yeah, that's cool.
And I think for you, man, it's like, you know, when, like you said, when you're going through everything and you're kind of, you know, a product of your environment, where you're hanging out with these guys, you're drinking, you're doing drugs. Like I was doing all that, where I would do party, drugs, and drink, but I didn't really have that addictive personality. So on top of that, that kind of puts things a little bit, you know, more south. But I think just you funneling that into videography and editing and doing, you know, Borrowed Happiness and stuff like that is fucking awesome. And I wish you a lot of success in the future with that, man. It's awesome.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it. And the same with you, man. I think it's really cool that you stuck with it. And then, like you said, it kind of just kept evolving, and it's so fucking rad. It's such a cool thing. And like you were saying, Ray, like, if that's my new drug, man, it's a lot healthier new drug, you know, like, not that it's necessarily new, because it's always been there, but it's something that like I have to do. And I've learned in a new way too, you know, like, we're just going in different, you know, on a bigger level, like learning more and getting my hands on a lot more stuff. And that's rad.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm just happy somebody else I know has watched Borrowed Happiness.
Yeah, I heard that. I was like, whoa, look at that.
I can't see, like, I've always kept up with you guys because we're the same age. So the reason I became, because it was word of mouth. I don't know who it was. It was in high school. I heard somebody say, yo, you got to check this video called CKY2K out. Trying to find it back in 99, 2000 on the internet was like cracking a case as a cop. So I remember I got my Scott, I said, I got these tapes. We got to watch them. And we watched them. And then what made your comedy great was not everybody, it's not for everybody. Right. But for the people that it is for, I always said what makes comedy great is something that you can always go back to and recite. That's what we do at all the CKY videos, the one-liners and all that, the kiki stuff. But the fact that after you watch it once, your first reaction is usually, what the fuck did I just see? Well, I got to go back and watch it again. And then you just keep going back. And then you grab somebody else, go, yo, watch this shit. And then it kind of spitballs out of control. So I've always kept up with you guys. Do you find it like humbling, or like, are you amazed that it's been 20 plus years almost, if not over, that you still have the following you do with everybody? Because we all felt like we were part of your gang. And I think that's what made you pop.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I guess if humbling is the word, I just feel like honored and grateful that people relate to it, and it's so awesome to like hear that, you know, like just to hear that from you now, it's so cool, and to hear that, is it Dirt Malone, or what is your name? Yeah, it's just Dirt
Malone, baby. That's it.
All right. so to hear that from Dirt, you know, like it is like it's just I guess the word is humbling. I'm honored, and it's awesome that in some weird way, I was a part of something that helped inspire others, you know, and I realized that for myself that I was lucky to be a part of something, you know, and something like that. And it's been so fun. And when you mentioned that about like watch it and then you're like, what the fuck did I watch? I got to go back and watch it. That, in a sense, I will tell you, that was our whole fucking goal.
Yeah.
And just to hear that you said that is like, that's awesome, because the CKY videos, that was our whole goal, was to edit it in a way that it was quick and that you don't even know what the fuck just happened. And then there was something in the background that you had to see too. And there was other shit that you're like, hold on, rewind that. Like what just fucking went on? You know, like that was the whole goal.
Yeah. ADD editing.
Yeah. That was the whole goal.
What made it different.
At that time, in you know, in the turn of the century kind of thing, the internet wasn't that big of a deal. Like it was like AOL, like to like download one picture, you know. So at that time, that was the thing of like, dude, everything's such a slow thing. Like you want it to hurry up, like get to the fucking point, you know. And that I think, you know, in a way, sort of shifted some things. But
yeah, you were also ahead of your time, because if you look at society now, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's cool. It's just I feel really like I feel grateful to have been a part of something so fun, and then to hear you guys say like, oh, you got inspired from it or whatever, and that's really cool. And you know, I've had some people tell me that like, dude, I picked up a camera because of that, and we wanted to film this, and it's like, dude, that's the fucking greatest thing, because that, I will say, our whole goal was to make people laugh and then get them rewind it and watch it again. Then the side thing that happened as a result that we never could have predicted is that it would inspire others to pick up cameras and get creative and do stuff. And that's fucking awesome. Like that's the best thing is to
Madam Flounder's pussy was the most hated bush in all the land.
Yeah. It's like some bitch at the Exton Mall did. Yeah.
I still can't go to a Burger King drive-thru without going, oh, I thought this was Steak King.
Yeah.
Now, the one question I need to know, will we ever, and I'm working trying to get Joe Franz to come on. He's going to be very upset you didn't give him credit, but are we ever going to get a CKY5?
Oh, you mean, sorry. I wasn't not giving Joe Franz credit. I was giving.
I said that as a joke.
I know, but now I feel bad because I just talked to Franz today. No, obviously Joe Franz was the one credited for, like, I mean, everything, but the skateboarding stuff, Joe was not a part of that. But like, yeah, as far as the CKYs, Haggards, Viva La Bam, you know, yeah, Joe Franz, but God damn, that made me feel bad. But but no, but yeah, no, Franz will come on, dude. I was just talking to him today. He's actually putting together some little highlight clip thing of a CKY thing that he's gonna put out in like a week. That's like some stuff with Novak, stuff with me. What's that?
Awesome. Yeah, because I talked to him like about a month ago. I touched base with him, and something happened with one of his friends, so I haven't heard back. He told me to get back to me, so
I'm sure he will at some point. Yeah, no, I'm not on here. But yeah, what were we saying before that?
Will there ever be a CK5?
Oh no, there won't.
No, absolutely
no.
Yeah, like it's one of those things. Here's the thing: like there's a new Jackass. I did some camera work on it. It's fucking funny. It's awesome shit. I was there for about half of it. It was such a weird thing because the pandemic shut us down a couple different times, and then I ended up jumping on another show, and then they were going on, and they were but their schedule was like a couple weeks here, a couple weeks there, and I was like, I need to take this more consistent thing, and so I did that. But I worked on about half of it, and it's really fucking funny, and it's gonna be awesome, and it was fun to be back on set with everybody and laughing our asses off and doing funny shit, and that's rad. Now, as far as CKY5, the trouble there is that, you know, I miss all those guys. I hang out with Jess Margera a lot. Like I was just over there yesterday. And he's got a rad thing going. He got Prince's soundboard from Paisley Park. So now they're recording on Prince's soundboard. Yeah, it's fucking amazing. I know. Yeah, Ellie, that was the same reaction I had.
I wouldn't
And
even
he
want to
told me that on the phone. I was like, wait, hold up, what? Like Prince?
Like, is this for real?
Yeah, he was like Prince. He's like, yeah, dude, like from Paisley Park. I'm like, what? How the fuck did you do that? And then is Joey Stumpo, this dude who's a roadie dude who we've known forever. He's friends with the dude who's managing the Paisley Park, and then they had to offload. They had a few of them, and they had to offload them because they're turning Prince's thing into a museum, which, depending on how you feel about it, is kind of whatever. But you know, because I don't know. I have funny feelings because here's a guy who did not want to be the company man, and now they're like making him the company man. So anyway, I think it's kind of blasphemous, whatever. But the fact is, Jess got he got an opportunity to get it and got it, and so now they have it and they're recording some really awesome shit on it. Anthony Green from Circus Survive is singing like a song. They did a cover song of a Ween song, and actually Neil Fallon from Clutch has put together an album that is sort of covers and then a couple originals, and it's made so that any of the proceeds that they generate from it is being put towards an organization that works on taking down online predators. So
Awesome.
I'm not sure exactly what the organization's name, but they've taken down 20 people so far, but it costs a lot of money to pay the hackers to be able to find these assholes that are doing sick shit to kids and whatever. So Neil Fallon, that's his fucking thing. We're like, Jess and I were always talking like Neil Fallon. I don't know if you know the band Clutch, but they're fucking the shit. And Neil, we were like, if Neil, we thought he couldn't get any cooler, and then he ended up just being that much fucking better. Because now he's fighting fucking online predators and doing rad shit and making music to be able to help with that. And Neil Fallon's one of those dudes I talk about. He's like the only dude I ever got starstruck from, and a lot of people don't even know who he is. You know, like not say a lot of people, but his band's been very successful, but it's not mainstream like that.
Not commercial,
Yeah, and so like, you know, they're like, oh, who have you been? You know, who have you met? And you're like, oh, we hung out with Sean Penn for a few days. We have Ben Stiller, all these, Drew Carey, all these people, Brad Pitt, all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, all of it is like, it's cool, but you're all regular people. How you doing? Good to see you, whatever. Then like when Neil Fallon came to one of the CKY shows, I was like, oh, like, yo, I was like, Jess, like, what? Holy shit, I didn't know he was coming. And then like, and he's like, man, what's the matter? I'm like, because like my whole childhood, I listened to Clutch, and like, I love his fucking music. I think that dude's brilliant as hell. So then I like just got nervous. I'm like, I never had that feeling before. And he was the one that I had that. But he's a guy he's incredible. If you don't know the band Clutch, you should check them out. They're fucking rad. And but anyway, yeah, they're recording. I've been hanging out with Jess a bunch. They're recording stuff on Prince's soundboard, which is fucking rad.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Not to sound weird. I mean, I don't care, but please like send a video to like one of us of you guys like jamming out on that soundboard, because that's
well,
awesome.
I'm trying to start my podcast back up, and did an episode. Right. I did an episode with Jess over there at the board. So that'll be coming out in a little bit. I've got 3 of them recorded. I'm gonna try and get 10 of them done, and then I'm gonna start. And then
is Deco one?
No,
did you get
no way.
He's never doing it, is he?
I know he's never doing it. No, no. People ask.
Sick of that.
Yeah. The people ask, and I'm like, dude, yo, and I'm not trying to call him out and be a dick right now, but yo, I flew back from LA to Westchester because he said he would do it, and I was there with the shit, and then he's like, I don't. I was like, you motherfucker. You know, so, but here's the thing. He's a great friend, and I love him. And we said this a long time ago when things got weird, and like the business got involved and shit got weird. It was like, we said that to each other at that point. It was like, look, our friendship is first and foremost. And if anything of this other stuff gets in the way of it, then it's time to like put that shit on hold and just be friends. And so that's what we've done. And Brandon has been really happy not being in front of the camera. You know, he's a family man. He's got kids and a wife and all that, and he just wants to live a life like that, and I don't blame him because even though I keep doing it because I love it, the business is a gross fucking thing, and I think it was like Jay Leno said it. He was like, look, as long as you don't try to marry that hooker, then you'll be all right. And that's like what that Hollywood is. It's like, don't treat Hollywood like it's the girl you want to bring home to mom. Treat it like it's the hooker that it is, you know? And I don't mean that any disrespect to hookers because I've had some fun. But I mean, you know, like it's just that, you know, it can be a gross sort of situation where you get taken advantage of, you get used for whatever, and then you get spit out. And so I can totally understand where he's coming from and not really wanting to be involved in that anymore because he's got a nice, happy life, got a good job, good stuff, good wife, good kid, like all that. And so I've tried pretty hard. I flew back to get him on there, and he was like, and last minute he's like, is it terrible that I don't want to do it? I'm like, nah, dude, you gotta do what you want to do.
Yeah. Rob, I could safely say, and I speak for everyone here, like we got so much out of this that like more than we ever could have thought as far as like updates and like what you've been updating with the crew is really awesome. We do one final thing before we let you go. It's called Gun to Your Head. It's one question each. It's just to have a little fun. And we did get a little dark here, so we got to lighten the mood. So
okay.
We do a little, it's like wordplay questions. You just got to pick what the answer is. So it's really weird. You'll see. Ready? So I'll start. For 1 week, would you rather use towels as paper or paper as towels?
Towels as paper.
Okay, that makes sense.
Wait, do we have to say why or whatever?
Oh, no, you can if you want to elaborate.
I just don't want a bunch of paper cuts on my dick and balls and my asshole and shit. Like
I didn't think of that, actually. Ellie, you're up.
All right. No, come back to me. I just lost.
Who?
Trav, you got one?
Yeah, so I was going to say, all right, gun to your head. I give you a blue pill. You go back, your whole all the life gets erased, and you go back to your childhood where you're a bald-headed kid with braces going, and then you relive your life doing everything that you were doing leading up to this day with the blue pill. Or you take the red pill and you become an Amish man who lives in Lancaster and you have all the money in the world. What is it?
Wow, that's very in-depth. Like,
that's a good one.
I mean,
I'm random.
I feel like, okay, so I would take the blue pill immediately, and I take the red pill too. No, but I think like, because it feels like to be an Amish person with all the money in the world, it feels like such a prison. You know, like, like, am I gonna get to have a Rahmspringer, or do I have to fucking stay there?
Horse and buggy, man, and that's it.
Yeah, if I can't go out and go to Cancun and go buck wild,
unless you go on the show Leaving Amish, and then you can just start your
that's what I'm saying. If I get that with all the money, then maybe I'll try that. But no, I have no regrets, man. I would live that life again, you know, in a heartbeat.
Raymond?
Nice.
I'd like to hear that because I'd like to watch it again. The at your age right now, like tonight or tomorrow, you had to fill one more stunt. Either you pissed on the electric fence again, or you do one more shopping cart. What one would you choose?
Oof. Depends who's pushing them.
I'm too old and out of shape to do a shopping cart. I feel like I'd have to just sacrifice my dick, you know, I guess.
Fair enough.
At this point, it's like, do you really need it to work anymore? I mean, there's pills for that.
Yeah, exactly. So that's you grit your teeth. I still don't understand how your teeth are connected, but
I don't know. It was just like, it ends up being like, I think it was just that because it was a whole body sort of thing or whatever. But yeah.
I picture you like going shopping at like ShopRite or Acme and like getting the fetal position when you see a shopping cart. There's like fucking nuts.
Just all that trauma. Yeah, to Ellie's point, that's what led me to. But you know what? I think we didn't really touch on that. Is that it did become easier to take pain pills and these other things because of like because of injuries, and then you got an excuse, and then you're like, all right, well, fuck, I might as well, you know, it'll help. And then it'll help turns into like, whoa, you should have stopped that 3 months ago, you know, like,
well, I've heard Novak say that in like recent interviews where he said like, he didn't want to do it, but he's like, the worst that can happen is I break a bone. At least I can go to the doctors and get pills. So like, it was kind of like that mindset.
Well, that's because that's the cart before the horse. He's the addict going, hey, you know what? Fuck it, I'll break my arm. I can get the pills. Like, whereas we were like breaking the arm and then you slide into the pills. Novak was fucking shooting that dope before anybody. No, but I love him, dude. He's one of those fucking stories that you're like just blown away and so psyched for him, and that he's doing really well, and he's helping a fuck ton of people, and I've been witness to that, and I've been there with him at some events like Rock for Recovery and some cool shit that I've gone to with him, and just to see what he's doing. It's amazing, man. Like he was in a dark hole, and I'll tell you what, it's funny because right when Ryan passed, I was 1 year and 9 months sober, and I was struggling, but I was like, I was in grief and all that stuff. But then Novak was in prison, and then he got out of prison, and we all met up to hang out, and like he came up to me and he was all drunk, like out of prison, and he's like, yeah, I was like, God, something's fucking different with you. Like, what's going on? I was like, I'm sober, dude. I'm doing this. And he goes, oh, good, man. You fucking needed it. Like, you've been shooting heroin and sucking dicks for it in abandoned houses, and you just got out of prison and you're drunk as shit, and I needed it. But it was like, but that's the way that we did shit, like I would always point it off on him, like, you're doing that, like I'm fine. And he would be like, well, Raab fucking drinks and does way like more cocaine than I ever did. Like, he's fucking way worse. And then I'll be like, well, you did heroin. And he's like, well, that's not bad. It's just a little heroin, like, so everybody's like making up excuses. And the real fact of the matter was, you surround yourself with people that drink and do drugs the way you do, so that you can point your fingers at them, so you don't have to
deflection.
I'm still not as bad. I'm still not like that bad. Like, I'm bad, but I'm not that bad. So it's like I can
exactly.
Yeah.
Ellie, did you think of one or no?
Okay, yes. Would you rather drink through your skin or taste through your eyes?
What did you say? Drink through my skin?
Yeah, like frogs do.
She does an animal podcast.
Wait, okay, yes, that makes perfect sense. Wait, drink through my skin or taste
taste through your eyes.
I think drink through my skin. That seems like it would be like, I think it would be pretty, I don't know, it seems like it would be beneficial. Like, it's you could just like if it rains, you could just walk outside and get like hydrated.
Yeah.
Not to mention, touching your eye is weird. So to like put a hot dog in it.
Yeah.
Really?
Why did you go like that?
I love putting a hot dog in your eye.
Yeah.
It's getting dark.
Rob,
I want to say, like, to thank you. Like, I feel like we have so much more information. We made, like, if you would like to do it again, just let us know. Like, every one of us is a fan, and we just look up to you guys for years.
It's been awesome to be on here with you. I appreciate you guys asking me to come on, man. It's been fun. And everybody,
it's just, it means a lot to us.
Me? Oh, no, I was going to say, I'm not trying to make anybody feel old here, but like, you guys have fans in every generation. Like, my dad's a boomer. I'm 27. Like,
okay, boomer.
Like, I mean, you guys have like you've touched like multiple generations. Like, we used to do Schwartz Family Jackass at my house, and as my dad, my brother, and my mom would be losing her shit. Like, no, you're not doing this shit, or whatever. Like, with whatever, I mean, you
That's
guys.
awesome. Well, I was gonna ask that and totally judge your parents when you said you were watching it when you were growing up with your dad. I was like, wait, how old are you? Because I'm like, you were like 7 years old, maybe.
I was like 7 or 8, and my dad, my mom was like, don't let them watch that, and my dad's like, all right, your mom went upstairs. Come on,
go okay, mom's in bed now. Get down here. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. We did, like, Schwartz Family Jackass, and I was usually the guinea pig. Like, me and my dad zipped me up in a suitcase, and then I was like, okay, well, don't roll it. And then, of course, they put it on the side and started fucking moving it. And I was like, that's bullshit. And then, mom comes in, she's like, what are you guys doing? Like, all that good stuff. But yeah, then you guys like spawned an entire movement, and
that's hilarious.
It's been awesome to talk to you, because again, you guys are like the cool kids growing up. It's like, man, those guys are really cool, and they're just always having fun. I mean, obviously, like a 7-year-old, there's a little bit more that comes with it, but it's like, fuck, that's really awesome. And, you know, they're really funny and they're doing all this cool shit. But yeah, no, it's been a real honor and joy to be able to talk to you.
I appreciate that. It's funny.
Ellie, before social media.
Yeah, I can totally relate to being the guinea pig of the family. I have 2 older brothers, and they would strap me to the sled and like launch me off of a fucking jump. And like I broke my nose when I was like 5, I think, because they threw me off this jump and I landed in a tree and smacked my face. It was one of those like those sleds that has a steering wheel with the front. And I smacked my nose, and then I was bleeding, and they were like, "Don't tell mom! Don't tell mom!" I'm like, how do I not? I'm fucking.
How do we not tell mom?
Yeah.
Like, blood, like, I mean, okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, plenty of those. Don't tell mom, don't tell mom. Okay.
That's an older brother. That's an older brother thing, because that's Scott. I was the same way. You make sure they're like breathing, be like, don't tell mom, don't tell mom. I'll do anything.